It's quite surprising what triggers a troll on my channel, or multiple trolls. A while back I made a winch system so I could drag lawnmowers up into the bed of my truck, and I don't even remember all the negative feedback I got for it. I mean, I've used it several times now, and it works perfectly. It just doesn't go wrong. Even if, for example, the other day I was removing a lawnmower from the truck, and the ramp fell down. As the back wheels were almost to the ground, the front wheels were still up here. The ramp fell off. One of the ramps fell off. Didn't hurt at all because the winch, which raises up, this raises up. I guess I could show you that. So the cable to the winch was still holding the lawnmower front end up. So when that ramp fell off, it didn't do anything. It just kept backing up. I probably could have lost both ramps at that point and wouldn't have hurt me at all. What's interesting about this is you'll get a bunch of trolls on that video, a bunch. Now, I do recognize that a lot of times you get one troll with multiple accounts, or one troll that is creating new accounts that day so they can comment multiple times, because of course, you know, I block them. I don't even try to tolerate them anymore. But so yesterday, or not yesterday, well, to me it was yesterday, to you it's going to be 2 videos ago, I made a video and I showed you that this here works. It's my tow truck, and I tow around lawnmowers. I moved a John Deere through some very rough terrain into the patch of brush, and it worked perfectly. This is going to give the troll something to talk about. Why are you hanging your blankets up over the bridge? How do you get in and out of your house? That's not very smart. So, and the spider webs are everywhere, and I'm running into them. So the John Deere sitting over there had to circle around, very rough terrain, and it worked perfectly. The front end didn't raise up. It was very cheap to make. I probably have $100 into my tow truck. Now you got to remember the winch was $60, so some bolts, some screws, and the wood itself was probably another 40 bucks or so, whatever that was. I mean, it's still quite a bit of money, but I need a tow truck. I need to be able to move lawnmowers around. And pulling them, just straight up pulling them, wasn't working. I'd have to get Carolyn out of here, outside, or the customer, and we'd have to tow it across. I can't, just by pulling it, pull it up the drive. When I get up closer to the road, the back wheels start spinning in that loose gravel. But now, with the tow truck, pulls up just fine. I don't spin at all. As a matter of fact, I demonstrated that. I feel like I demonstrated that back when you put towing that John Deere. I know you couldn't see the hill, but there is a spot there where it's a mound of dirt. And you have to go up that mound of dirt. It's probably a foot high, 2 feet high. And I really expected to get hung up there, and it didn't. So it's very simplistic to use, and I've made this high enough that when I lift the front end up of a lawnmower with my mower jack, I can take this tow truck, back it up to the back end, and lift the back end up. So now the whole thing is off the ground. I'm not really sure I will ever need that feature, but if I do, I have it available. I've been trying to figure this out for some time. Why am I criticized so bad when I might come up with an inexpensive idea? It would seem to me that if you're coming to this channel, you know that I try to do things inexpensively simply by the title of my channel, Little House Off Grid. I live in a house that's $5,000. I built it for $5,000. I have solar panels. I don't pay for electric. And I live minimalistically. But for years, I've been on this channel for 8 years now. I've been called miserly, and you go over the troll channels and you look down at the bottom of the comments, and a lot of people will talk about me, how they've stopped watching because I just won't spend money. Carolyn should divorce me because I won't spend money. Well, it's actually Carolyn that doesn't like spending money. I mean, I spent a lot of money. I was way in debt with my ex-wife. So she really has taught me how to save money, not spend money. Think minimalistically. But there are just folks out there who just can't fathom the idea that you would not spend money and you take a little time to try to think of something that would work. Now, after yesterday's video, I was getting attacked so much, I had wondered if anybody else had built a tow truck with a lawnmower. And there was one other video that I saw that built it similar to mine. Now, there was another one, and he built it a little different, which is fine. I mean, however you want to build it. But this one, I could actually use as a crane also. I could stick a 2x4 up here, way up here, put a simple brace underneath it, and it would lift up quite easily. So I could lift things to the roof if I wanted to. So I can get things up quite high. I could, butcher a deer. I could do a lot of things with it. I don't know if I ever will, but the possibility does exist. So I looked, and there was one other guy who built one, but he spent a lot of money on it. It was all made out of steel, and he also put it as a 4-wheel drive system. So, well, it was actually 6 wheels. So he had these wheels, but he had another set of wheels basically back here. And at first I thought it was like a tow trailer, a winch tow trailer, which I thought, hey, that's a good idea. I didn't think about that. I could just disconnect it from the lawnmower. But then after further analysis, I realized that he made that wheel back here, the one that's invisible here, he chained it with a bicycle chain. So as this one was spinning, that one was spinning. So he actually increased the amount of traction he was getting. I don't have to do that because as weight is being applied to this, it puts weight on the back end, and I get all the traction I need. I don't have a traction problem now. But, like I said, he spent a lot of money on it, and that's fine. He was a welder, and he welded. I'm not a good welder, and I didn't want to weld anything. So I built this. Well, that's never gonna hold any weight. Why build something that's not gonna hold any weight? It's exactly what they said with the truck. But if you think about it, in the truck, it's got a small bed, so I'm not really gonna be hauling heavy equipment. The lawnmower, the heaviest lawnmower I think I would have to put into the truck would be 1,000 pounds. So I have a 2,000 pound winch. How much weight does the bracing system actually have to have for a 2,000 pound winch? I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say 2,000 pounds. So same here. This is a 2,000 pound winch, and each one of these boards should be able to hold, well, since they're shorter boards, they're not 8 foot long. An 8 foot long board should be able to hold 600 pounds. This one is about half the size, I would say, probably 3 to 4 feet. So it could probably hold 1,200 pounds per board. So that's, let's just say 2,400 pounds. So that's roughly the same as the winch. A little bit higher. But the thing you have to understand is the lawnmower's transmission can only handle 1,500 pounds. So explain to me why I have to spend a bunch of money making this out of steel and getting, welding classes and all the gas it's going to use and all the welding equipment it's going to use to make sure that this thing can hold 15,000, 20,000 pounds when the lawnmower is only capable of 1,500. I honestly don't understand, but apparently I'm just not comprehending the importance of this, because last night It triggered the trolls. I mean, I don't know, 15, 20 trolls were all upset about how miserly I am. One person called me a miserly genius. You're known as the miserly genius. Well, who knows me as that? Is there a channel out there specifically talking about me? The miserly? I know way back when we were still nomads, there was websites out there. One was like the e-beggar website, and they would criticize people living on, on the road. Oh, they hated us. They absolutely hated us. I remember one person saying, I've stopped watching Little House Off Grid because he refused to pay to get into the national park, 20 bucks. And we didn't want to go in the national park. It was overcrowded, and we went out there for a little bit of privacy. And so we went into the national forest and parked 10 feet away from the edge of the Grand Canyon. It was an 8,000 foot drop. Walk out of the truck, walk 10 feet, the 8,000 foot drop. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You want me to spend 20 bucks so I can be in an overcrowded park where I can't get to the edge because it's illegal and they don't want you getting close, or I can just look over here and spit off the side and watch the spit drop to the bottom, or throw a boulder, But he was so upset that he went onto the troll channel saying, I'm never watching that guy again because he wouldn't spend the 20 bucks to go into the national park. Well, back then, they were fining people lots of money for recording videos in national parks. I think the Supreme Court has overturned that decision, or some court has. I don't know, maybe it was the Supreme Court, but that's beside the point. The point was, if I'd have recorded it and put it on YouTube, I could have gotten fined for videoing and making a profit off going into a national park and recording it. So, these people, they just can't stand the idea of not spending money. They don't understand the concept. But I bet I had 10 people last night create new accounts yet that day. So the 25th of August, or with the 5th of August, whatever it was, 5th of August, 2025, whatever day that was. Anyway, so that day they were creating accounts so they could comment, because they've been blocked in the past, obviously. Or I was blocking them because they were being rude, and then they would create a new account. So I bet I had 10 of those. So that was probably one guy, but they were so triggered. And I don't understand the triggering. I had a guy over here yesterday who picked up a lawnmower. He's an electrician. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to have him come out and take a look at something for Carolyn. If I ever pass away, I want to make sure she's set to go. So I even asked him, could you send me a quote for this? I don't want to talk about that. That's completely irrelevant. But if I ever die, I want her to have the ability to do whatever she wants to do. So he's an electrician, and I went to go get a pair of pliers. He asked me a question about his lawnmower, and I needed to get the spark plug wire off. Couldn't get it, so I walked around, got a pair of pliers, came back around, and he's sitting on the lawnmower. I said, the tow truck. He says, is that what it's being used for? This is a great idea. I love it. So everybody who has seen it so far has commented, in real life, how great it is. Now, I think that's like only 3 or 4 people. But I can't imagine anybody thinking this is a terrible idea. I recognize it may look a little Hoosierish, a little redneck, little hillbilly. But I don't understand how the hillbilly part of it makes it where I shouldn't have done it at all. I should have bought an actual tow hitch. A tow package is what I was told. A tow package. Well, I looked. What tow package is there that duplicates this? That's one reason why I looked to see if anybody else had built this before. Like I said, there was one other person who made it similar to mine, except it was out of steel and it was a lot more complicated. And there was one guy who built I don't know what it was. It really wasn't a lawnmower. It was just a tow vehicle for lawnmowers. And it was different, that's all. He still had a motor and all that stuff, so I guess you could consider that one a tow truck. And he built his all out of junk stuff that he had laying around. So you could call that a little bit Hoosierish or hillbilly-ish, whatever you want to call it. But I don't understand why I want to spend thousands of dollars to have a tow truck for a lawnmower repair business that I'm doing as kind of a side job, a hobby. I don't understand how people can actually survive with this kind of mindset where you have to spend tons of money in order to start a business. You run, when I started the hobby business, oh, you need a shed, you need a garage, you need this, you need that, you need all these tools, you need. And I don't have any of it. And I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I'm staying pretty busy. I mean, today's a little slow, but I got a few lawnmowers sitting here just waiting for parts. So it's not like I don't have any work. I haven't got any calls today, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I don't understand the mindset that I deserve criticism because I'm trying to get ahead in life in an economy that is really in bad shape, or was in bad shape, or is getting better, whatever the case is. Doesn't matter to me. I know YouTube is not paying anymore. It just doesn't make any money. I've got 2 channels, and both of them just don't make any money. So I do this, I figure out a way to make money this way. And, oh, no, that's a bad idea. You shouldn't have done it. I remember when everybody criticized me for relying on YouTube for my wage. And I always said it was like, well, it's like a job. YouTube crashes today. I just have to go look for another job. You could get fired tomorrow. So I find another job because YouTube is not paying so well anymore. And, oh, no, that's a bad idea. You can't do that. I think that's what's wrong with society. Is they're so spoiled. Society has become so spoiled that society is going to end because they don't know how to stop crying and whining that they don't have enough money to do anything. Well, first of all, I think I heard something, 90% of the population drink too much. I think it was like 90%. That was a couple of years ago. They drink in excess. So if you're drinking in excess, that means you have a high alcohol bill. I don't drink alcohol. So I don't understand why you need more money all the time. What's the point? I don't need money. I have a very low income and I'm very happy. But for some reason, people think they got to be rich to be happy. I don't need to be rich. I have a tow truck. I don't have a boat, but if I wanted a boat, you know what? I probably could figure out how to make one. So if you click this up next box to take the video over my channel, really appreciate it if you go check it out. So if I can inspire you to be inventive so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.